All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to the 2021 orientation for preschool. We are absolutely excited to be able to tell you what's going on over the course of this next year. We have Miss Beret, who you had met on the way in, and Mrs. Bowling. So there are teachers for this year. We're excited to have them. Mrs. Bowling's in her second year now, and Miss Beret, this is going to be her charter year, her first year teaching, and she is absolutely excited. And so it's going to be a great year. A lot of things happening over this past year already, as you all know, but we are going to make a go at this, and it is going to be a good year. So we're glad you're here to kind of go over some of those things. Our intent really was just to have the 3-year-old preschoolers and any new students come to this meeting, but with everything going on, we thought we'd invite all of you. And so we did. Along with this, though, we are recording everything that's going on here, so this will be uploaded to a page so if you miss anything tonight or forget anything, you can always go to that link and rewatch it at extra speed if you want, get through all the boring parts and then get to the thing that you want to get to. So we are recording for those people who couldn't make it tonight. So what I'm going to do is kind of just go through the whole presentation, myself and the teachers, and then if you have any questions afterwards, then we'll take those at that time. So we'll have myself, the teachers, and the teachers' aides here to be able to do that. So you'll be able to just find one of us to be able to ask any specific questions you might have. All right. So without further ado, let's get started with my favorite cartoon. Hopefully you can see that okay up there. See on the left side, you see the first day of school for probably a preschooler who doesn't really want to go. And then there's the second picture on the right there, the first day of college. Mom doesn't want the college students to go away. How are you guys feeling about this whole thing? I know you're not sending anybody off to college, at least right now anyways. Maybe some of you are. But how are you feeling about those two pictures? Is your circumstance more like the left picture or the right picture? No need to answer or raise your hand or anything like that. But which one are you? Are you on the left side where this kid has to go to school? He's been home all day, all the time. This darn COVID thing, he's got to get to school. He's making a mess at home, driving mom crazy. Or is it the right picture? I don't want him to leave yet. It's too soon. He's too young. Time has gone too fast. Well, hopefully, this orientation will help either give you hope that, hey, there's something coming up here, or will maybe, hopefully, calm your fears if you're off to the right side. Next slide. So starting off with the mission of Bethlehem Lutheran Preschool. 2 real main reasons we exist as a preschool, as a church, and as an elementary school. First one is to proclaim Jesus. First and foremost, that is what we are here to do with you. So that's our number one goal in life, is to make sure that when people leave this earth, they know who Jesus is. So that's number 1. Number 2 is encouraging the use of our children's God-given abilities. Everyone has them. You have them. People around us have them. God has given us each of those abilities. And these children are going to find out what those are, even in preschool. So that's our twofold mission. Next slide. So this thing we call preschool is really a partnership between you and us. And because learning is going to best happen when you're doing things at home and we're doing things at school and we're on the same page. And the child is going to flourish when they're doing these 4 things. So when we're providing that Christian environment, which we're going to do here, we're going to have an atmosphere of love, trust, care, and respect. And then we're going to have these appropriate experiences for these kids, these age-appropriate things for 3 and 4-year-olds that they can really thrive at doing. And lastly, we're going to have those hands-on activities, kind of all hand in hand there as we do that. And next slide. Your child is going to grow grow spiritually. Like we said earlier, your child's going to be learning that Jesus is their Savior and that He's their best friend. They're going to learn Bible stories, they're going to learn songs, they're going to learn all sorts of different skills, they're going to learn prayers, all those types of things. And then finally, as kind of a fruit of all of that, they're going to be able to respond in that love of Jesus. Okay, next slide. So I can't promise that your child is going to be leaving preschool as an Einstein, but they are going to have some cognitive growth. They're going to be growing in their thinking skills. Okay, first of all, they're going to be learning that their gifts are from God and that He gave them to them. They're going to be learning about the world around them, the world that God created. It's going to be learning all those things. Through it all, they're also going to be gaining that positive view of learning. They'll be using those different materials, and they'll be further developing those language skills and those problem-solving skills. Preschool is designed so that they can start learning all those things. It's not just going to be the basics. They're going to be able to tell you what they want and what they want to do next. They're going to be able to problem solve, start doing those types of things. And then they're going to be developing their readiness for the next grade level. So the whole idea of preschool is to get them ready for kindergarten. Next slide. A huge part of preschool is working on social and emotional awareness. So we'll work on interacting with the teachers, with their peers, and the environment that's around them. Okay, and then we'll learn about the body and the basics of that. And so they'll be, wrong slide. So they'll get opportunities to work alone and as a team. So cooperative learning. So they'll be doing a lot of group work. And then they'll learn to show Christian love and respect and empathy. That final point there. And finally, your child will have opportunities to grow physically. They'll learn to appreciate the differences and likenesses of each other. They'll learn about the body and the basics of taking care of it, and develop both the large and small motor skills. Now, one thing we added last year, and I just want to maybe point that out again, we've been noticing that children have been losing maybe their large motor skills, or maybe not even developing them at all in these 3- and 4-year-old age ranges. And so last year we added a physical education portion of the curriculum to this, so the kids will actually come to the gym, they'll work on large motor skill type things. We're finding that with all the little electronics and stuff like that, they're really good with the fine motor, but maybe not so good with the large motor. So we've been doing more of an emphasis on those things. All right, slide number 9, school calendar. So for the school calendar, we do follow the elementary school calendar as Mr. Weber has posted it, with one exception. We don't meet on half school days. So if there's a half-day school day, preschool does not meet. Now in your folder, we did put a revised schedule in there, a year-at-a-glance calendar for you guys to be able to look at. So if you're ever in doubt as to when there's a school day, check on that calendar. Okay, so you should see that. Is that on the right or left side?
Different for each class.
It's different for each class. Okay, it's in there. All right. So you guys should be able to find that. The morning program begins at 8:30 and the afternoon begins at 12:15. Okay, now you can arrive as early as 8:15 for the morning program and 12 o'clock for the afternoon program. So from here on out, for the next couple slides, we're going to talk about drop-off and pick-up. I'm going to let Ms. Beret take the drop-off portion, and then Mrs. Bowling will take the pick-up.
Can everybody hear me? Awesome. So for drop-off this year, if you were here last year, it's a little bit different. We're going to add a step or two. When you come in through the preschool childcare entrance, You're gonna get a temp check as well as your child. And then you're gonna move down the hallway and wash your hands, or the child's hands, in the bathrooms. And then if there are people waiting or we're having a rough drop off and it's taking a bit longer, we have blue X's that are socially distanced apart. So we ask that you wait on those X's, and when it comes open, you can all kind of move up. It's kind of be a little bit of a line, but we're just trying to keep everyone safe. Once we're at the classroom door, we're hoping for some quick drop-offs. And something that might help with that is having a routine. Maybe talking to your child saying, all right, you're gonna get one hug and one kiss, we're gonna do 2 high fives, and then you're gonna go play. And first few days that might be a little difficult, and both teachers and aides are gonna be there to assist in any way we can. If having that really like tearful drop off and you guys are worried and you're like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna have a good day, with our new Seesaw app, once they're happy and playing, which is normally a few minutes later, we can always take a picture of them doing an activity and upload that straight to Seesaw, so you have a peace of mind throughout the rest of the day. And then we are doing the exes, and we're asking for 8:15 because we're gonna have childcare come down a few minutes earlier, so we're not clashing so many kids together in the hallway at the same time. So that's why we're asking for the exes and for the waiting, which is gonna help us out a lot. And then I'm gonna hand it over to Mrs. Bowling for the pickup aspect of our day.
Okay, they gave me the hard one to talk about. This is the one that I'll probably have, if you've been in preschool before, the biggest change, but I think you might like it. So, I'm kind of going to explain it for the 11:30 and the 3 o'clock. It's essentially the same, but the 3 o'clock dismissal with the school dismissal gets a little bit dicier, but we're gonna make it work, okay? So in previous years, you came in and you lined up in the hallway and you were able to pick your child up directly from the preschool hallway. To make things easier and not having to do another temp check and having less parents in the building when school lunches are starting to happen, we're going to bring the children to you, okay? So this is how it's going to work. So I'm gonna talk about the AM class first. So that if you're in the 8:30 to 11:30 class, this is what you will do. I think at 11:30, there's no children at recess, so you should be able to come into the parking lot if you're picking up pretty easily. We're gonna ask that you park your car, so you're actually gonna drive in, you're gonna park your car kind of by where the shed and the big play structure is, in that like kind of right side, I'm really bad at directions, so the right side of the parking lot, and you're gonna stay in your car, okay? So you'll park there, you'll stay in your car, and then at around, we're gonna try at like 11:25, that Miss Beret and I will walk the line of children that would be parent pickup. We'll walk straight down this hallway, we'll walk out the childcare preschool entrance, and then we're gonna be standing kind of on each side of the pillar over there. And when you see us come out, we're asking that you get out of your car briefly, and you're gonna walk to the sidewalk. We don't want kids running in the parking lot, that wouldn't be safe. So you're gonna walk to the sidewalk where we would then pass your child along, you would walk them back to the car, get them in the car, and you could leave your littles in the car too, so if you have little kids that you're like, oh, this would make my life so much easier, that's what we're gonna do for that. If your child attends childcare, that will be the same protocol as last year, that we'll have a childcare line with one of our aides taking them upstairs, washing their hands, and then they're getting ready for lunch. So we essentially have 2 lines that are going out. Well, the childcare line will probably go, actually the parent pickup line will take out first, with you guys waiting in your car, and then the childcare line would go second. We're asking, if possible, especially at the 11:30 pickup, we have to quickly clean and turn around that room for our afternoon class. And 30 minutes is a really short amount of time to do that. So if you can please try your best to be on time at that 11:30 pickup. Obviously, things come up, just let us know if something weird happens and you're running a little late, we can accommodate that. But if you can be there at 11:25, 11:30, waiting for us, that would make it easier so that we can go back in the classroom and get things turned over for the next class. Does that make sense? Okay, so the 3 o'clock dismissal is essentially the same, except we have the day school pickup going on as well. So if your child is in the afternoon class, this would only be for the 4K classes. There are no afternoon 3-year-old classes. So if you are in the 4K PM class, either Miss Beret or myself, there is going to be a lot of stuff happening. If your child attends childcare, you can kind of ignore this and you don't have to worry about it because there would have a childcare line that would go upstairs. However, if you are planning to pick your child up at 3 o'clock, there's kind of a diagram behind here to kind of help with that. So today, the school kind of figured out a different way of doing pickup because the line was going on to 145 and it was not safe to have all the cars there. So they're actually going to be completely blocking off that first entrance. So the first entrance that's closest to 145 will be coned off. You cannot come through that way. So then the second entrance is going to be kind of coned into 2 lanes. I don't know if you can kind of see that on the diagram. There's going to be an in section and there's going to be an out section. The X's on this diagram mark where cars are going to be. So they're essentially going to be a line of cars that are going to be on Bel Air Lane, turning into the building and kind of wrapping around that way. So it makes it tricky for you guys to get in, but we can make this work. So I have the out, that pink rectangle box there. If you can at all means try your best to get here almost like 250, 255-ish. Mr. Weber, the school principal, will be there and he'll kind of let you sneak through what would be that out entrance and you can quick sneak your car in and then you would park in that rectangle, that same spot by the shed and by the play structure, and you would do the same thing. You would park your car and you would sit there and you would wait for us to bring your children out, especially in that 3 p.m. pickup. I kind of have an arrow there that shows like walking almost along the play yard area because there's going to be cars everywhere. So the cars don't go that area. So if you stay kind of closest and hug the play yard, there won't be any cars that way. And then what you would do is you would do the same thing. You would walk, pick up your child, take them back to your car, and then you would get your child in and then kind of weave back into the outline because there's going to be the parent pickup. Parent pickup is like 3 to 3:10, 3:15-ish. We're trying to get it to 3:10, but you can kind of weave right in there. So, and if you end up coming late, let's say you were 3:05, just know you're going to be kind of stuck. You can go in the car line, you're more than welcome to, and then you can just kind of go around, but it's going to be a little trickier. So if you can try to get there that 5 to 10 minutes earlier, you should be able to sneak in fine and get out. One thing we're going to ask you to do if your child is getting picked up by you, just give them a heads up that when we take them out, they might see you and they might get really excited, like, oh, I want to go to mom or I want to go to dad. Try to tell them, like, you can wave to me, but you may not run in that parking lot. We're going to be standing there kind of making sure no one will go, but if you can remind them too, like, just give me a wave, and then when you get on the sidewalk, then you can grab their hand and walk them back. One other thing, sorry, this is a long slide. If you have children that are in the day school, so kindergarten through 4th grade ideally, you can have your 4-year-old utilize the car line for the day school. So for that, basically what you're doing this week, you would continue doing. What we ask is that you'll send a sibling that you trust, so an older sibling. If you trust that they can kind of come down, they would pick up your preschooler, and then one of the aides or I will kind of stand in the hallway and make sure they go in this door into where the pickup line, which is right over there. You can kind of see where it's labeled on the wall over there, the A through H. So your child is practicing that this week. So they would have to walk, pick their child up, they would come in here, and then they would wait for their name to be called. If you are going to do that, just let Miss Spray or I know so we know which kids are going to be picked up by an older sibling. And then we also ask that maybe you email their teacher as well so they know on this day, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I need to send him down to get my child. And I'll try to make a master list too to help with that. If for some reason your oldest child is sick that day and you're not going to be doing the pickup line, if you can try to let us know. Otherwise, just know then we'll just keep them in our parent pickup line and we'll find you eventually to drop off your child. So I'm hoping that will be a little easier on everyone's end. It'll eliminate you guys having to come in the building again, and we can safely get them on and out and on with their day. Okay? All right, I'm going to pass it over.
Okay, we're off to the fun part. Illness and medications. So a lot of child care parents here, you kind of know how we run things in child care. Preschool is going to be very similar, and so just going to kind of go through some of the things that you'll need to know for that. Basically, if your child is sick, we're asking you to keep them home, okay? And then notify us that they won't be coming that day. If your child comes to school and becomes sick over time, or we're finding that they're not able to function properly or be able to be involved as much, we'll give you a call as well, and then we'll ask you to pick them up. Obviously, a contagious disease, don't bring them again, right? But also, please notify us so that we can put an exposure notice out for the other families so that they know that this certain thing is in the center at this time. So if you could do that, that would be wonderful. No medications will be given without written consent from you. And so we have a form that you can fill out. If you know that you have maybe, I don't know, a puffer of some sort, or what do you call those things? EpiPen, yes. An EpiPen or anything like that, and you're only going to bring it for that first day or have that, then you can fill that out even tonight and give that to us so we have it. Along with that, we do need to get immunization records in from you guys. So if you have any updates, we have forms for that too. I believe those are in your folders as well. So please give us those updates. Let's see here. That's pretty much it for that slide. Next one. So COVID, the topic we're all looking forward to talking about, or maybe not, but we have to, right? So I may just start this off with recommendations are always changing. So this could change mid-year possibly, but just to give that caveat right up front. But we're going to kind of go through what we want to start with so we're all on the same page. As you know, there's a mask mandate. I don't know if you guys are wearing them, except for me because I'm speaking. That mask mandate is for any children 5 and over. So if your child is not 5 or over, they don't need to wear a mask. It's not required. However, I guess for safety concerns, we are encouraging masks, but ultimately, we're going to leave that up to you guys. So if you don't want your child to wear a mask, they don't need to. That being said, we are asking that you would maybe send one along in a Ziploc bag to keep in their backpack for any time that they might be in close quarters with other children. That could be maybe going from one bathroom from Miss Beray's, because she doesn't have a bathroom in her room, going to Miss Bowling's room to use the bathroom there. So we're not commingling with those other kids. So that's just one example. The other example I can think of maybe is an emergency where all of a sudden we're all huddled in one spot. That might be a good idea to have a mask. And so if you guys can provide one of those, keep it in the front part of their backpack, that would be great. Also, back to EpiPens. So if there is an EpiPen, we ask that maybe you kind of get a hard case for that EpiPen and put that also in the front part of the backpack. Especially, the reason why we're saying that is if you have a child that is in preschool and childcare, we want that EpiPen to always be in the backpack and ready so that the teachers, whether in preschool or in childcare, always know where that EpiPen is. So if you could do that for us, that would be wonderful. Teachers will always wear masks unless they are presenting and they're able to keep that 6-foot distance from the children. Otherwise, they'll be wearing those at all times, except for when they're eating. Hand washing. In childcare, we've been kind of stepping up. We wanted to promote hand washing versus hand sanitizing. And so we've been really just focusing on as you enter the building, you're washing your hands. As you're getting ready to eat, you're washing your hands. As you're transitioning from one group to another, you're washing your hands. So we're going to do that in preschool as well. So at different times during the day, they're going to be hand washing and being taught how to do it and in the proper way. So that's going to happen on a regular basis. There will be hand sanitizer available as well. If your child has a sensitivity to any of the hand soaps that we have or sanitizers that we have, you are allowed to bring your own. We just ask that you mark it clearly with their first and last name on it. so that and then notify the teachers that they have it, okay? Cleaning and disinfecting. We have a number of ways that we are doing that. We're using something called Quat. And that's just kind of a spray-on type thing, disinfectant. We do that on a nightly basis. We have a UV sanitizing light. That is not done in every room every night, but we are trying to get that into each of the rooms twice a week. So every room is being like hospitally graded, cleaned every night in that way. Just recently we did buy a fogger, so it's a hospital grade fogger. So we're going to be using that in between different times too. So throughout the day, we're going to have some kind of cleaning going on with these rooms. What they did mention earlier about in between turning over the room. So after the morning group is done, we're going to make sure that that room is sanitized and ready to go for the PM group. The fogger, just as a part of it, it has no chemicals. It's just a spray fogger, and I'm not even sure how it all works. They're never really good at science, but they that should be a good thing for us to be able to utilize. Drinking fountains, we did cover them all, so we won't be using drinking fountains at all. You can bring a water bottle, just clearly label that with your child's name. You wouldn't necessarily need one, but because we do have Dixie cups for snack time, and anytime your child would need some water, we can always use those. We have pitchers, we fill them up, we dispose of them, and so we can do either one. So that's up to you on how you want to handle that. But the drinking fountains will not be in use. Essential visitors, we are only allowing certain people into the building, teachers' aides, fire inspectors, those type of people, repairmen, so that we aren't bringing all sorts of people in here. The exception is, obviously, you guys are going to have to drop off, so you guys will be able to come in for that momentary time. Social distancing measures, kind of mentioned that earlier. We're doing a number of things there. We're trying to space out the children and limit group sizes in the classroom. So that's one thing we're doing. And then pathways throughout the school. School kind of has their entrance and exit and their pathways throughout the school, and the child care and preschool kind of have their ins and outs and all that kind of stuff. So we're limiting exposure as much as possible between us and the school. Now that is going to end up being a little bit tricky when we have after school child care, but so there is going to be some commingling. I want to be upfront and honest on that so that you guys know. But in any other places that we can, we are going to try to limit those kind of contacts. All right, so illness policy again, kind of dovetailing off what I said earlier. Any signs of COVID, which is almost anything now, it seems, we just ask that you not bring your child to school that day. If your child doesn't pass the wellness check, that's an automatic send home too. And so kind of go over that as far as when your child will be able to come back in a little bit. If your child becomes ill at school, we will have a place for them to be isolated, and then we'll give you a call so you can come and pick them up. Okay, so quarantine procedures. This is always fun. So if your child has COVID symptoms, we're encouraging that you get them tested. Obviously, we can't say you must, but we're encouraging it. Now, if the symptoms do occur, whether it's a child or a staff member, and you choose not to get tested, we will require that you self-quarantine for the 14 days, plus the 24-hour symptom-free. Okay, now if you do decide to get tested and they test positive, then they'll be quarantined for the 10 days plus the 24-hour period of symptom-free. If there is a confirmed case of COVID in the building, we will let you know which classroom that was in, but we will not let you know, for confidentiality reasons, the name of the child or name of the staff member. And so, but we will notify you that there is a case in the building if there is such. If we need to close down for any reason, whether it be the whole center or the whole preschool or a certain classroom, we'll also notify you as soon as possible so that you can make appropriate arrangements. And so that's where we're kind of asking you to have a plan B kind of in place. We don't know if or when it's going to happen, but have a plan B in place, just in case. If it's a whole center thing and you're using childcare, have a plan B, because if someone's possibly out in preschool, there is the distinct possibility that we could be out in childcare too, mainly in those 3 and 4 rooms. So be ready for that. In your packet that you have, there is something called a COVID waiver. Insurance reasons have stipulated that we must have that filled out before, not before your child starts, but within that first week, we need a signed copy of that. You can hand that back to us tonight if you'd like, or any time during that first week. So you need to fill that out and just put your child's name at the bottom. So that's one other thing you'll have to fill out very soon here. Okay, I believe that is all I have for that slide. Emergency and accident policies. So similar to child care again, if there's an illness or an accident, you will be notified. You'll be notified either by phone, email, or you'll be notified at pickup. Kind of just depends on the severity of what has happened. If it's just a little bit of a bump or a scrape, we might just wait until pickup to let you know about it, but we will let you know if something has happened. If it's kind of something a little more major, I guess, maybe like a bruising or something like that, there will always be a written report done up for that incident. So that's for an accident, an injury, or an actual incident. Incident is where someone else does something to your child. So we will let you know, without naming names, that something has happened to your child or by another child. And we keep those all on file here at the center. As far as emergency procedures, we do fire drills, tornado drills, lockout drills, and lockdown drills. I'm not going to go into specifics now, of course, on those things, but just so you know that we do those alongside the elementary school. So whenever they do a drill, we also do a drill with them. There are fire escape plans in all the rooms, and so those are clearly marked for students and for the staff. Okay, next slide, inclement weather. If it's cold or snowy, you'll need to be watching out on radio, TV, all those kind of things, the internet. For school closings, this is pretty easy. If either Menominee Falls or Germantown close, preschool will also close. Okay, not and, but or. So if just Menominee Falls closes, we're closed. If just Germantown closes, we're closed. Okay? We try to get it out there that Bethlehem Lutheran School is closed, but if you don't hear that, listen for those two things, Menominee Falls or Germantown. Okay? I believe that's all I have. We're off to slide 16 for the teachers.
All right. Oops. Is it working? There we go. Okay. For pictures, I'm going to briefly talk about Seesaw as well. So some of you, actually a lot of you, in the email that you received from your teacher yesterday, we had a link to Seesaw, which is a platform we're going to be using that both Ms. Bray and I are very, very excited about. It's going to kind of serve a lot of different purposes, but our main reason for doing it is sharing more about what your child is doing at school and you guys being able to see it instantly or very quickly in that. So if you haven't received that email, first let us know, because then we might have your email mixed up. You should have received an email sometime yesterday from your teacher. And in that email, it had a link. There also is a paper copy that says Seesaw on the top in your folder. It has a QR code. So if you have not, if you're looking at me like, I don't know what she's talking about right now, you either could click on the link in that email, or you could refer to the paper that's in your folder, and you can set up your child's Seesaw account. It'll create like an online journal for your child. The goal that we're going to have at school is your child's not going to be posting or doing anything on it. It's going to be either myself or an aide doing that. And when they do activities, we're going to snap a picture and we're going to upload it right to your child's account. It could even be videos of something they're doing, or like we mentioned before, let's say they had kind of a weird drop off and you're wanting an update, we can quick send that picture, and then you can set up how you want your notifications to go for that. You can have it ding, you can send a weekly update. There's so many different options for you. I want to let you know it's a private account, so that's why when you asked for permission, you had to wait for us. So just know that any picture of your child is only shared with you. It's not being shared unless it's like a class picture or a video of something we did together as a group that would get shared with the whole class. So I just wanted to make a comment of, on the app, you have the option to save those pictures to your device. I believe if you click on the bottom, it's kind of close to Instagram, I feel like, when I was kind of looking at it, but you can save that right to your device and save pictures for your own personal things, so that once you're done with the school year, you could still have those pictures there. I just want to ask that if you want to post something on social media of like what your child's doing at school, that's okay. However, if there are other children that are in that picture with you, we ask that either you don't post that or you contact those parents of the child to get permission to do that. If I'm in it or Miss Bray's in it, you have my permission that you can share it if you really want to, but just out of privacy and respect for others. If you're sharing, make sure that your child's the only one in it. And so I'll explain later how else we might use Seesaw, but that's kind of the main one, is sharing with you what your child's doing, especially when drop-offs are short and you might not be able to come in and volunteer, at least as of right now. You get to kind of glimpse and almost see what they're doing even though you're not there, which I think is a really cool tool, and it's free. So I'm all about free tools that we can use to kind of help the communication between us be improved. So that's that for pictures.
All right, for supplies, I've had a few questions about this, and you all paid a $30 supply fee when you registered, and that fee will absorb most of the cost of all of the supplies that we need throughout the year. However, we do ask that every child comes to school with a backpack that is big enough to hold the folder that's all in your hands, and a change of clothes. And that change of clothes we ask is in a sealed bag, clearly labeled your child's name, and it will stay in your backpack unless we need to use it. And if we use it, we will send a note home or an email and let you know that it needs to be washed and new clothes need to be replaced. Another thing with the clothes is the seasons change. We ask that you change the clothes with it, so if they have an accident in the winter, we're not putting shorts on them and feel really bad that they're cold. With the supplies, we will also have a snack share during our classroom time, and if it's your child's turn for snack share, that will be another supply that you will be required to bring in.
All right, so I just kind of laughed when we were going through this presentation, because what I'm about to tell you about snack share, the picture that's up here is an example of what unfortunately we cannot do for snacks this year. Due to the COVID times that we're in, we're asking that when your turn is to share a snack, it is something that's individually sealed from the store, or it could also be a box of something that's sealed that you're not opening, you're not dividing the stuff up between the classes, you're just bringing that in, and knowing that our aides and I, if we're dispersing it, we're gonna have our mask on, we're gonna have our hands washed and our gloves on, and we will distribute that to your child. So in your folder, you should have received the September calendar, okay? If your child's name is on it, it should be highlighted, unless we missed one, but if your child's name is on it and highlighted, that means that it's your turn to bring snack for that day. So if you're in the 5-day class, you're probably gonna have snack once a month. It'll be a little bit less for the 4K and obviously more infrequent for the 3K class. If it's your child's birthday, then you can bring in a birthday treat. However, and this is, I know I feel so bad saying this, unfortunately, it has to be individually sealed and wrapped. So like the cookie cakes or baking something, making something individually, unfortunately right now, we can't do for safety reasons. So I kind of like brainstormed because I went thinking, we still want healthy snacks. We're encouraging healthy eating. We only have water for our snack time. We're not doing the juice and anything anymore. But you could still bring in, like, for instance, fruit that is easy for us to prep. So I'm thinking like blueberries in their original container, we will wash them and we can serve those easily. Raspberries, blackberries, it even could be bananas that the children could peel individually on their own. A bag of baby carrots, you could bring in a bag of carrots, or the sugar snap peas, yogurt that's in the individual containers, applesauce pouches. I'm just trying to give you some ideas of things that if you're trying to still have a healthy snack to do. And then we'll divide that out. We're trying to ask to avoid anything peanut related, so like a trail mix that has peanuts. We do have some peanut allergies in the classroom, and we don't want any allergies to happen. So if it's processed in a place that has tree nuts, that's okay. However, if you are thinking my child has that peanut allergy or that tree nut allergy or even gluten or dairy, you have the option of providing your own snacks for your child. You can do that by sending it with them the day they come to preschool, or some people in the past have just given us a huge bucket bag of it, and then we'll let you know when you're running low on it. So if you want to do it that way, talk to your child's teacher so that we know that you're going to be bringing it in and we know not to give them that snack for the day. I think that was anything for that. So individually sealed. Basically, you're not prepping it at all. We will do that. But just please be mindful of, like, don't bring a huge watermelon in and expect us to cut it. I would love to do that, but unfortunately, we will not have the time in prepping for snack to be able to do that. So as long as you're not touching the packaging, any fruit, I promise we will wash, and we will make sure, again, gloved and masked, that that's getting safe to your child. One other note on that, for class jobs, typically we had, maybe if you've had children in previous years, there was like a placemat job and a cup job and a napkin job, and they would set it out. That's not happening this year either. So we kind of revamped our jobs chart, and then our aides will be doing that with gloves on and a mask as well, just to keep things clean and sanitary and no germs being spread between that. So that's for the snack share.
All right. A little more about children's clothing and the extra clothes and any kind of clothing that your children wear. A reminder about the extra clothes, seasonally change them out, make sure they're all appropriate. And then we are going to try and go outside if it's nice out. We're going to try and go outside and do Fayed. We're going to try and go outside and do some singing or just looking at God's creation. So that might be now where it's warm enough. They can be in their shorts and their t-shirt. But if it becomes fall, we do ask that you send a jacket along just in case we go outside. If your child is in preschool and in childcare, and it's the middle of winter and they have a big bag of snow stuff and they have a lunch that they're going to go upstairs with, we politely ask that you put their backpack and their stuff down here and then walk up the snow stuff and the lunchbox upstairs, just so that your 3-year-old or 4-year-old's not trying to lug all the stuff up the stairs and then they're falling. We don't really want that to happen. So we just kindly ask that you help us out a little bit and take some stuff upstairs. And if we do have any jackets, we ask that they are clearly labeled, so we're not sending someone's jacket home on the wrong child. That wouldn't be fun.
And just as a kind of to go off of that, because we're going to be walking your child to outside, that's where they're going to be dressing themselves, and we're going to be helping them get dressed in the classroom. So that's where, even if it's mittens, to just try to label it, because when they're all getting ready and if they drop it on the floor and then all of a sudden we're like, whose mitten that's black and is from Costco that 6 kids have, and then we have no idea whose is whose. So if you can just label that, you know, it's gonna feed into our schedule to get them dressed. But the teacher in me thinks that's a great opportunity for fine motor, for them practicing their zipper, getting their fingers in the mittens holes and their thumbs in. So even though it will be kind of technically taking instructional time, it's valuable time for them to start doing those things independently. And if there's boots and things like that, we will try our best to get boots and things transferred. Just know, hopefully they're not walking super far. If you can avoid the boots and it's not too bad, it might be easier just to have the shoes for that little bit of time. The next one, for daily routine, in your folder, is it blue for you? No, it's green, sorry. If you have Miss Beret, it's a green piece of paper. If you have me, it is a blue piece of paper. It is a double-sided sheet that has our basic general schedule for the day. If you have been here last year, it's very similar to that. The only thing we really changed around was kind of the end of the day, so to accommodate for that dress time to get them out where they need to go. As Mr. Walker mentioned, we're doing Phi-Ed. Typically, we'll do our physical education days on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So depending on when your child comes, they would have it either once a week if they're in the 3K program, twice a week if they're in the 4K, the 3-day program, and 3 times a week if they're in the 5-day program. And we'll either be outside or in here doing that. And like I said, we're gonna try to go outside if we can. Especially, I don't know if you read the COVID plan, but we're not allowed to sing in our classroom currently, just with COVID precautions. So we want to take the singing outside. So we're going to try our best to do those things outside to keep them safe, but to still, we do singing so much, so we still want to be able to incorporate that in our day. And the story and movement outside, obviously the schedule could change, but this is just the basic, so you know what's going on. We are, just because our schedule's tightened, we're gonna really try to start at like that 8:35 if you're in the morning, and then the afternoon class, we're gonna try to get started right at 12:15. So I know sometimes when schedules get crazy and we can run late, just know that there might be some time if you're running late that we already got started and your child can just join in if you're running late. But we wanna kind of start early so that we can accommodate for that extra time at the end.
All right, field trips. And usually this is the part where we talk about all the fun field trips we're gonna go on this year. However, this year we are not able to go on them. However, with everything changing, we may reevaluate later on in the year and possibly get something in for the 4-year-olds, because 4-year-olds are the ones that we are allowing to go on the field trips. 3-year-olds are just a little bit young yet, and we're gonna help them along. We'll do it next year. However, we are still thinking about in-house bringing pumpkins in during our harvest party. It's still in the works. We're still thinking about it. It's a maybe, but just something fun that possibly we could do. Otherwise, yeah, no field trips this year, which makes me sad in my first year teaching. But
All right. Oh, one comment that she just told me. Your red folder that you're holding right now will be your child's, well, it says it on there, preschool take-home folder. So before their first day of school, you just take out the papers that are in there right now, put that in your child's backpack, and that will be their folder. They're plastic this year, so I'm hoping they're gonna last longer than last year's did. I intentionally, and you can clean them easier. So hopefully they won't, because I know a lot of them ripped kind of halfway through the year. Typically, times to check would be end of the week. Something new this year we're doing, if you've been here previously, is we purchased through Christ Light the parent home connection sheets for the Bible stories for the week. So for 3-year-olds on every Thursday, you would get that parent connection in your folder, and then 4-year-olds would be on Friday. It has a summary of the story, activities you can do at home, the memory treasure they learn throughout the week, and then an extra activity that your child can do. Optional, of course, you don't have to turn it in or anything, but just something to kind of connect what they're doing for that. But typically, definitely check it on a Thursday or Friday, because that's typically when most of the papers would be in their folder. All right, we're on our last slide. It's exciting, last one. So parent-teacher communication. So I said in the previous email, typically Fridays is like my newsletter day. So we've done it more electronically just because I feel like that's just the world that we're in right now. So expect every Friday, even if you're in a 3K class, typically it'll be Friday morning, Friday afternoon, depending on how our mornings are going. We'll get it out earlier. And we'll update you what did we do throughout the week. So you'll have a couple updates of these are some things that we did. We'll have upcoming events on there or any reminders that'll be coming up. So definitely on Fridays, be sure to check your email because it'll have important information in there for you. And also, one thing is if something weird happens at school, maybe your child says something really bizarre that happened. I'm just gonna give an example that happened last year. I had a parent that emailed me, was like, she's saying that you sent her to a box by herself. And I was very confused for a while, thinking I never have sent a child to a box. It was the light box that's in our classroom, and I had her go over there to do the activity, but the way she worded it made it seem like I sent her to a box. And so we cleared it up. So sometimes your child might say something weird. If you're questioning it, or just ask us. We'll be more than happy to do that. Or if you have a concern about something's happening, just feel free to contact us right away, so that we can be in a communication and solve a problem if there is a problem happening. I just thought the light box one was funny, and I was very confused for a while what she was talking about. And the last thing I'm going to talk about too is what virtual learning, if that happens, will look like. I've spent a lot of time over the summer thinking about how we can improve it from what it was last year. Obviously, if you were here last year, we got thrown into it so quickly and kind of had to come up with something, and it wasn't ideal with what I wanted it to look like. I'm praying that we don't have to do it. I'm praying that we can be in person and it can just be something that we have planned and we don't have to use, but I want to let you know that we're thinking of something versus just, oh, I don't know what we're going to do. So that Seesaw app will also double as kind of an at-home learning app for your child. So in the coming weeks, we didn't want to overwhelm you with lots of different things, but your child will receive an at-home learning code that will be linked to the Seesaw. And it involves you having the class app. If you downloaded the app, you might have saw there was a family app and a class app. It would be something through that, and we will walk you through these steps. And what'll happen is, if we would move virtual, we can upload activities and things to do through the Seesaw app. So it almost creates like a to-do list for your child. And then another change is, I know last year I kind of sent out an email that had attachments and you could kind of print off what you wanted to do. This year we would be actually like coming up with the activities, compiling them and having them in some sort of little packet that I'm envisioning, maybe some sort of packet pickup if it was something a little bit more long-term. If it's only a short amount of time, it would be stuff that you wouldn't need any supplies for. And what it would be is our morning meeting videos could be linked right into the Seesaw, and you would only be receiving those videos, this is a change, on the days your child would have preschool. So let's say you're in the 3K class. You would get videos Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you're in the 3-day class, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5-day, you would have it every day. That way we can personalize it to each group a little bit more. And then you would have the activities. We would decide on, the 3-year-olds would probably have 2. Like, it's not going to be something crazy, because in my mind, I think of our 3 goals that we're here for. We want to teach our child about Jesus. We want to share God's love. We want them to socialize. We want them to learn how school works and what the routine is. And we want to get their fingers ready for kindergarten and learn how to write. And I think through this plan, we can teach Jesus every day, and we can work on our fine motor. Unfortunately, if you know a way to do socialization through virtual learning, please talk to me, because that's the only part that's missing. But just know we're going to make it so easy for you. It's not going to be assigned activities that you need to submit by 10 o'clock that night. It's totally going to be something you can do on your schedule. And then you can, through that app, just like we take pictures to show your child what they're doing here at school, you would be able to, through that app, take the picture at home and share it to us. So we can kind of check in. And that way, it'll keep your pictures of document of your child throughout the whole year if it would come to that. So I hope I didn't overwhelm you right now saying that. I just wanted to share that we're thinking about it, and we're hoping we have a plan in place. And that way, if we have a plan in place, we won't need to use it, if that makes sense. Being prepared. So in your folders, I'm just confirming, you kind of have 3 papers that you will return to us, just to kind of wrap it up. It would be there's a get to know your child. I believe it's a bright orange piece of paper. If you can fill that out in the first week of school. If you are a returning child and let's say you were in my 3K class last year and now you're going to be in the 4K class, if nothing drastic changed with your child between then, I'm okay if you don't fill it out, because I have that figured out. But if you're new or you have a new teacher, if you're in Ms. Bray's class, it might be helpful. Especially if your child's having a tough day, we have some tips and things to go by. So it'll be the get to know you form, the immunization records, and then the COVID waiver form. And you can just return those in the red folder, and we'll take them out when preschool would start. We're looking forward to a really fun year. I'm so excited to have kids in the building again. I'm getting excited getting all the centers ready and things. So we're very, very much looking forward to getting to see kids every single day.